the government, it's the government, it's the government, government, the government, it's 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 the government, government, it's the 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 government, government, the government, it's the government, it's the government, it's the government, it's the government. Government, government, the government, it's 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 the government, government, the government, it's 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 the government, government, the government, it's 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 the government, government, the government, it's 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 the government, government, the government, it's 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 the government, government, the government, it's 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 the government, government, the government, it's 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 the government, government, the government, it's 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 the government, government, the government, it's 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 the government, government, the government, it's 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 the government, government, the government, it's 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 the government, government, the government, it's 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 the government.
Peace, peace, peace. Let me do a sound check. Make sure my microphone is loud. This ain't for everybody. It's live right here. It's gonna be some rah-rah here, but most of it is not rah-rah. This is going to be for the wise, the intellectuals, people who actually care. Okay, microphone is good. So this live is only gonna be for intellectuals, those who actually are interested and invested in their lineage, okay, and care about signal boosting, whatever it takes, signal boosting the information and the talking points about our lineage. We have to protect our lineage because so many people are trying to minimize what we've done in America and what America has done to us. Okay. So most FBAs are still not ready, still not serious. They're still into entertainment, they still choose entertainment over their lineage, right? We are really, really into being entertained. Okay, so now I see why this is doing it. Okay, yeah, so we'd rather be entertained than to be informed on where we at and what needs to be done. Okay, that is the truth. This is why you see when I have a roasting title, 200 to 300 folks appear. When I have a serious title, just, serious. Like we can't always be clowns and jesters. But when I have a more serious talking point dealing with history, things we need to know, uh, they don't show up. So even though we have the same lineage as them, we gotta be uh, you know, sound minded and acknowledge that we have a lot of foolish FBAs, you dig, who just put the entertainment, all the roasting, the joking, but they're not really gonna be there when it's time to demonstrate. Okay. Okay. So anyway, with that being said, let's go here. Hey Donnie, I hit you up on the community on the YouTube. So you see the live got canceled earlier, but bro, I didn't see a strike and the video is still accessible. So I'm like, what was that about? Why did they shut my live down? And the video is still accessible. You could watch the video on, it's on my live. It's on my channel, my archive. You could go see it. But Donnie, that's weird. We start exposing Europeans, but so I gotta read it. So I can't even like play the video. I gotta read the European immigration over here. Okay, I can't even play the video because they'll shut the live down. It's okay to show tether stuff, FBA stuff, immigrant stuff from like Latin America, whatever. But when you show European immigrants the real history, not even like shitting on them, just the real history, they shut the live stream down. That's how it appeared. Okay. I'm not sure that that's how it appeared. That was weird, Donnie. So I don't even want to play that video over. I watched it, I took down notes, so I'm going to just read the notes. Anyway, check it out. I'm a black gunner for you. 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 This brother here, myself, all of us were born with that. So what you're looking at are the original Black Panthers, I believe. Okay, the Huey P. Newton type Black Panthers, I believe. Hair like this, and we just wear it like this. Reason for it, you might say, is like a new awareness among Black people. So you see, sisters had no problem rocking the afros and being themselves, being natural. And guess what? They had husbands. Okay. So this hair thing y'all doing today is a bunch of BS. These women had afros and they were married. So this whole excuse to weird like this weird hair stuff y'all doing today, the lashes stop. These women were married without all that type stuff, and they had their natural hair. It was not long at all. And again, they were married with kids. FBA man married them just as they are with the short hair, afro, all that. This happened so much that white women started growing afros. But Whatever. That's a different topic.
That their own natural appearance, physical appearance is beautiful. Black people are aware now. They're proud of it. It's pleasing to them. Dig it? Isn't it
Oh, they all got afros. Nobody got long hair to their knees. You dig? No extensions, none of that stuff. And they're married with kids. All right.
beautiful? All right.
So that means that black men don't look at your hair to judge you as far as beauty. You're beautiful, short hair, long hair, dreadlocks, whatever. You dig? But somehow black women been duped to believe you gotta have long extensions in order to be beautiful today.
You gotta get rid of gravity. I got to stay black enough for you. I gotta stay black enough for you.
All
Gonna
afros.
move on up.
Afros.
Four by four. We
Afro.
ain't never gonna stop it no
Afro.
more. I got to stay black
I
enough
was
for
to show the white women in the crowd. Look, all afros. Y'all be killing me with these excuses.
You're talking about people who are teenagers, 17, 18, 19, 20. That's the bulk of the Panthers are teenagers.
All afros. Ain't nobody got perms. And guess what? They're married with kids with afros.
So the fact that we were so young and the fact that this hadn't happened
And she still got one. This is like Yvette Carnell, by the way. No disrespect.
before, I'm not certain that we recognize how startling it looked to other people.
Dear Mr. Newton,
Oh, by the way, tethers and haters. I got my sister DNA, and I got her 23andMe or whatever, and I got our family tree. So for me, we can trace back our lineage on our father's side all the way before, well, during slavery, but a little before 1870 census. Okay, so unbiased Ron, he's good. Okay, so I can source up with my paperwork. I'm straight. Yeah, I need to do the same. Lord Jamar, good luck.
I'm a 13-year-old black girl and I want to be a Black Panther. I wish you would fill me in.
Peace, Golden.
Does it matter what your religion is? What are some qualifications to be a Black Panther? P.S. Write me back personally.
Now, by the way, I'm playing this video just to show you how, um, you know, purposes. Women tend to, in today's time, 2025, women like to dress up to compete with themselves, right? They don't even want men's opinion or if it's attractive or not. They compete with themselves, and it's unfortunate because now they're going for one consistent look, and they're not checking with us, the men, to see if we believe it's beautiful. They got their own look, and you might want to ask us because these women are wearing afros and they're getting married. So that dispels the whole thing about you got to have long stringy hair or long curly hair or long thick hair. It killed that. These women got afros and it's very short and they're married with kids. All right. But I do not agree with the Black Panthers at all. Okay, so I'm playing it just for historical reference, but I do just to show the afros and the beauty with the afros. But I believe the Black Panthers were 100% unnecessary and just a waste of time in history. Okay, what they stood for and all that shit, I believe they was just completely chaotic and unorganized and didn't accomplish shit. All right, now, but Deacons for Defense, who the Black Panthers, who inspired the Black Panthers, they were the real deal, led by Robert F. Williams. I already showed the videos of Robert F. Williams, and y'all can Google it. He actually was successful in defending the civil rights, activists. Okay, but the Black Panthers, I believe, were just full of shit, photo opping, cosplaying, and just totally unnecessary and didn't get anything done. So I'm not playing this video to promote them. I'm playing the video just to show you how Black women were organic, natural, and they were still married with kids. Okay.
I was taught to be proper, behave yourself, you're going out in public, to always know that the white man was listening. With the Black Panthers coming to the scene, it was just a completely different message. As a 12-year-old, you know what? You had this whole other portrayal of self and just digging it.
Photographers took advantage. I mean, they took our pictures, they put them on newspapers, they put
All afros, and these women thought they were extra beautiful with afros. And now, what if they show the white women who had afros too? Because a lot of white women also wore the afros.
them on magazines, and that look that we projected, you know, the big afro, the leather jacket, the shades, that became a hit. And obviously, photographers were drawn to the Panthers.
Well, we hear a great deal about the Black Panthers.
Black Panthers.
Black Panthers.
The Black Panthers.
The Black Panthers were absolutely unique.
The Black
And full of shit.
Panthers. The Black Panthers. Black Panthers.
Black Panther Party.
Black Panther movement.
Black Panther Party.
Black Panthers.
I think the Black Panthers really understood the media. They knew what we were after. They knew what.
Told you, they understood the media. They were just cosplaying and everything's about photo ops. You know, they were the first TikTok movement.
We were focusing on.
The Panthers has amounted to
The Black Panther Party.
Many people know of the Panthers.
You might say that we exploited the Black Panthers, but I think there's a lot of evidence that they.
Now, by the way, they were inspired by the Deacons for Defense and, you know, Robert F. Williams, and he was not doing this shit right here. He was about getting results done. He got results done. Okay, he wasn't all about publicity and taking pictures with the media. No, he got shit done, and he was only in the media because he was controversial. Like, he got shit done, and as a result, he was in the media. But he was never doing this shit right here, just interviewing with the media. He was not doing this, and he was with the Deacons for Defense, who was a chapter, who was like a part of the NAACP. Okay, so they were protecting civil rights activists from the KKK. They actually went and bust their gun at the KKK and got respect, international respect, unlike the Black Panthers.
They used us to their advantage. They were able to establish their legitimacy as a voice of protest.
The chairman of the Black Panther Party, and here he is.
Even with 3 guilty verdicts against the officer charged in George Floyd's death, some say Black Americans.
I'm gonna stop the video. I'm pressing pause. So that was in the 60s. Now we're 60 years later, and look what they're doing. Nothing. They're just assimilating, galvanizing, and they're marching for, like, you know, Black folks who was harmed by somebody, probably white. But my thing is dude, keep that same energy when we harm each other, and, you know, because that's the biggest thing. Like, we're killing each other and we're preying on each other. So the Black Panthers should not only be intervening when it's a white person attacking us, they need to be intervening when it's the gangsters, because looking like this with guns and shit, you're gonna put fear in the gangsters' head too. All right. So the Nation of Islam, they went amongst the gangsters, and that's why the Nation of Islam ran cities. They really didn't have no problems like that. I just wish the Black Panthers would redirect the energy and bring this support into the inner cities to discourage all this crazy ass crime, these senseless killings and shootings. But again, I don't see them getting shit done.
Still feel threatened.
Again, the Deacons for Defense, they was not a reactionary movement like these guys. They confronted the Klan in real time. They met them in real time, and they prevented the crime. They didn't come afterwards like these guys. They met them, okay? And they prevented the crime, the shooting or the hanging. They met them straight up. They didn't come after the fact. They met them before the attack happened. That's the difference between the Deacons for Defense and the Black Panthers and the Black Panther Party. That's the big difference. One group actually got shit done and discouraged white supremacists, and the other group came after the damage was done with photo ops.
In fact, black gun ownership is up 60%,
Timmy.
according to the National Shooting Sports Foundation. And some say that's in response to continued violence against that community.
Timmy, I gotta give you a wrench. Just give me a second, because I'm not logged into that channel just yet. But I'll give you a wrench.
Another response, a new black militia group. I sat down with its founder to find out why he started the group, which is growing in numbers and popularity.
I have a very hard time explaining to my child about the bygone era of.
Okay, so here's the thing. This is my major criticism against the Black Panthers today. Like, they need to really get involved in a community, and they need the community's approval. Why are you claiming to be defending the community when the community don't even approve of you? They don't even rock with you. So you got to first win, the opinion and the minds and hearts of the community so they could be with you. But when they march and do their demonstrations, they're really just by themselves. The community ever hardly show up with them. Okay, so that's the thing I don't like. Like, get involved with the community, explain to them what you're here to do and how you're here to defend them and protect them, and ask for their allegiance. Ask for them to represent you. And when you go march or protest, they need to be there. But I don't see that. I just see these guys voluntarily going out there marching, and the community don't even know why they're there. It's like a pure disconnect.
Lynching, when there's suspicion that a lynching just happened. Or when we start seeing the Ahmaud Arbery case, where white men hunted down.
Hey, FBA G code says, I live in Las Vegas. The new the new Black Panther Party here is a joke. I seen the clowns dancing on MLK Boulevard, and you can't make this up. Yeah, exactly, bro. They never historically, they never got anything done. All they did was, even the Huey P. News in Fairhampton, all they did was just take pictures and get on TV and get publicity, get famous. They never accomplished anything they set out to accomplish. But the Deacons for Defense, if you look them up, look at Robert F. Williams, he got shit done. I played him on my channel numerous of times, and I might play him again. But I had several lives where I just played Robert F. Williams, his story. Okay. And don't forget, the Black Panther Party was inspired by him. So why didn't organize like him? Why didn't accomplish something similar that he accomplished? Why were they afraid to engage with people in real time? Why would they just come always after the fact, marching and doing some bullshit? Again, without the people's support. The Deacons for Defense, they were defending listen to me clear. The Deacons for Defense were defending the civil rights activists, Dr. King and all those guys. And the Deacons for Defense was part of the NAACP. You heard me correctly. The Deacons for Defense, Robert F. Williams, he was part of the NAACP. Okay? So he was with the movement, and the movement was with him. These clowns, the town residents don't even know they're there. So I don't rock with this shit at all. I think this is a waste of time, and they're better off engaging with the community, explaining what's going on, and getting involved in the community, discouraging this crime wave we got with the inner city and the youth. Getting out there with their guns, being intimidating, but amongst our youth, setting them straight. Hey man, you want to be a gangster? How about join us? How about you could be a badass? You could wear dark clothes, shades, and hold a gun in public. You ain't gotta like hide it and be illegal and no. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's more attractive. People will probably the youth will probably join them as opposed to a piece of shit worthless gang. But because that's not happening, there's a disconnect between them and the community, as you see.
Black man and killed him.
John Johnson, better known by his former DJ name, Grandmaster Jay, is the supreme commander of the NFAC, the Not Effing Around Coalition, a black militia.
We're not having the lies. We're not having the...
So didn't he go to prison for some shit? So let me get out of here. Yeah, I think he went to prison. So this is all good, but I'm telling you, they would do more greater good if they were in the black community discouraging crime like the Nation of Islam. The Nation of Islam was in the black community. The Moors were in the black community. The Hebrew Israelites are in the black community discouraging crime. The Nation of Islam, the Moors, the black Israelites are in the community discouraging crime. These guys, they don't do this in the hood. Do this in the hood, man. Get the respect of your people. Okay, that's all I'm asking for. Do this in the hood. Walk around with your guns, same shit, but be in the hood, be in black neighborhoods to discourage crime and recruit the youth. Get them doing something active because it's either join y'all or join the army. It's either join y'all, join the army, or join a gang. And of course, the gang is the worst choice of all three. But this right here, this needs to be done in the hood, like the Deacons for Defense.
Unequal administration of justice. We're not existing under the conditions that have been set by another race that do nothing but hamstring us and are detrimental.
So I think the dude went to prison, by the way, for some goofy shit behind his stupid ass movement, his organization. Like I said, I have no problem joining a black militia group, as long as we are in the hood discouraging criminal activities. Okay? That's my thing. I don't like our youth being predatorized by grown-ass losers to join a gang and become criminals, lifetime criminals. I'd rather do this right here in the hood where we are inspiring black people and we have a good rapport with the community. We're talking to mothers. You know, the Nation of Islam, they knocked on door to door to door to door to door, like the Mormons. You dig? So like the community got familiar with the Nation of Islam members. I used to be a Nation of Islam member. We knocked on doors. The community knew our names. They used to buy Final Call for us. They never read them piece of shit papers, but they will buy them just because they supported our effort. But this right here, this ain't it. All right, so now let's get to the live. Let's get rid of that. Okay, so let me first rev you up with this first.
Which is funny how almost every foreigner has something to say badly about African Americans. Even Africans sometimes have to say about African Americans, but then everybody comes to America trying to be African American.
I'm going to speak for my whole country, love Jamaica, but I think quite a few Jamaicans think that you guys play the victim a lot. Like an outsider looking in, it's like, gosh, them complain about everything. Look how much opportunity them have. Look how them can work. Look how them can buy $1 burger. And them over there complain. And that is how I was preconditioned, if I'm being totally honest. They're like, Shante,
it makes sense.
Yeah, don't go over there and waste up.
Okay, so I want you guys to listen to her words. She was told to don't go over there. So don't let these goddamn tethers tell you it goes both ways. Okay, now, tethers, this is open phone call today. I'm going to play a couple of videos and I want you guys to call in. Anybody can call in, but I would rather tethers call in because they act like it goes both ways. You know, she said she was told don't go over there. That means she's not here. She's in Jamaica and she's being prepped how to think about FBAs, ADOS, same shit. So she's being prepped how to feel about us. That's called prejudice. That's called discrimination. Preconceived notions and biases that we don't have. See, our family do not teach us to, stay away from Africans or people from the Caribbean. That's not taught in our neighborhoods or homes. Okay. So Tiffany 89, you can lie and act like that happens, but maybe that was in your household. and maybe you got a degenerate household. But majority of FBAs and ADOS, that's not taught in our homes to stay away from Africans and um, the Caribbean. We're taught we're all in this together. But you heard what she said.
Opportunity, totally honest. They're like Shantae.
It makes sense.
Yeah, don't go over there and waste the opportunity. Don't go over there and start complaining. Work for your own, focus on that. So that's always been my mindset. We're so focused on just making it. I really want to.
Okay, now she's a goddamn liar. She's trying to tell me Jamaicans are so focused on making it. Making it what? Like you act like you guys are really moving the needle over here. Like you're into the field of science and technology, and you guys are really like making a difference in America. Like stop. You guys are working 9 to 5s like everybody else.
Emphasize that, but sometimes when you just focus on all you have to eat, you're not think say somebody a touch you. You're not think say, oh, I'm not have the right temperature. We're hungry. We are.
We're hungry. You're right. You're different than us. We're not hungry. Okay. I mean, like she's talking about physically hungry. We're not physically hungry. We're actually eating food here. So we got different world experiences. You're actually hungry. Your ribs are touching. Okay. Don't make her wait. She's gonna mess around and snatch the weight, some DMX shit. We're not doing that. We're just we're mad at inequality. We're mad at white supremacy. That's our thing. We're not hungry. We're not starving. Eating out the damn trash can with flies over our face. We're not experiencing that. But we are mad at systemic white supremacy that's deliberately locking us out the wealth and deliberately undermining us by stockpiling all these immigrants, whether legal or illegal, in our neighborhoods. That's clear undermining.
The way how African Americans prioritize blackness isn't necessarily the same way in which an immigrant would prioritize their blackness. So, you know how African Americans will say, oh, black writer, black creator, black artist, black lawyer, black doctor, black woman in STEM. No, when we come to this country, it's immigrant or nationality. Maybe our careers next, and then whatever else comes after that. So immigrant, Jamaican, marketer, whatever else comes after that. The issue that you're having is we don't see ourselves as one of you.
To me, that's called being divisive. She said we don't see ourselves as one of you. Who she's saying we? She's talking about Jamaica. Essentially, she's talking about the entire Caribbean. We don't see ourselves like you. That's the problem you guys are having. You're believing we're all in this together. We're all black. But no, sir, we're not black. We are actually immigrants. You're black. You're black. We're immigrants. So we're immigrants. That means that we have more in common with the European immigrants, Latino immigrants, Asian immigrants. Okay? That's who we have things in common with. We like to talk to them about immigration status, policies, laws. You guys don't know about that. You guys got civil rights. We don't have that. Okay, so we're not fighting for justice or peace or just or else. That's your shit. We're fighting for stronger immigration policies. My boy, your problem, she said, your problem is that we don't see ourselves as one of you. That's called being divisive. That's called delineating. Okay, so never feel bad for delineating, drawing the line. Delineating just means drawing. Look, delineate, line. When you spell delineate, the word line is there. You're drawing a line. You're over here, I'm over here. That doesn't mean we're oppositions to each other. That doesn't mean we hate you. We're just sectioning off the groups. That's all. So for example, in a science class with a science teacher, sometimes she will section off the class. She's delineating, she's drawing a line. Does that mean the people in the class are no longer in science class? Does that mean they no longer have the science teacher? But that means that they're at odds? No, that means that she's sectioning off the class. This is group A, group B, group C, group D, but you're still part of the science class, and I'm still your teacher, and these are still your classmates. See, that's all. It's just sectioning off. That's all delineating is sectioning off for identification purposes. Group A, group B, group C, group D. That's called identifying the groups within the class. So with us, when we say delineating, we're doing what she's doing. We're drawing a line to identify, to section off, to identify. You guys section off yourselves from the world, calling yourself Jamaicans. The Haitians have sectioned off themselves from the world by calling themselves Haitians. Nigerians have sectioned off themselves from the world by calling them Nigerians. So why are we the only people on this planet that has not sectioned off ourselves? So now we do it, everybody hates us. Well, no, I'm sorry. Black people hate us. Black people who are non-FBA, non-ADOS, they hate us. Not even whites, Latinos, and Asians. Black people hate us for sectioning off like everybody else. We're sectioning off, saying, hey, you got your corner, they got their corner. Well, this is our corner, and our corner is unique just to us, like your corner is unique just to you, Jamaicans. Okay, so we're FBA, we're ADOS. What's the problem? Okay, they have a big problem with that because they want to tether on everything we do because they believe this stupid idea that white folks are like giving us biscuits or crumbs. They're not giving us shit. So they're trying to make sure that they don't miss out. This is why they won't let us be who we're going to be. And it's too bad. We're FBA, we're ADOS, and we're delineating, and we're really delineating against your ass more than anybody else. A tether, in my opinion, is worse than a white supremacist. Like these guys are terrible. Listen to them.
And the reason that we don't see ourselves as one of you is not because of blackness. We just see ourselves as an outsider. We have
the issue that you're having is we don't see ourselves as one of you. And the reason that we don't see ourselves as one of you is not because of blackness. We just see ourselves as an outsider. We have
So now let's move forward. So as an immigrant, I'm here in this country. What do I want to do? Put my best foot forward. What do my parents want to do? Put their best foot forward and give us the best opportunity they possibly can. Thank you, Lord, for my parents because they did exactly that. But it's my turn as their child to hold the baton. And one thing I always say, my parents did not risk their lives to get to America for me to get involved in some political warfare. My parents did not risk their lives for me to get to America, for me to sit here fighting people all day. That makes absolutely no sense. And I think because you guys have never taken that level of a risk, you don't understand that level of responsibility and accountability. That's really the problem here. Because if you really risk your lives to have something, if you really risk your life to get something, you're not willing and ready to throw it away.
Just fully American. You're African American, bro. That's it. How was that see you in 30?
These guys
that wasn't an insult.
Are
that was 50. You're black.
With talking about us.
You're not Trinidadian. You're not Jamaican. You're not African. You're not.
And by the way, these guys got large influences. These aren't so when Haskell and brother Reggie come over here and lie and say, hey man, they're not pushing these tethers who are just spewing, anti-FBA, anti-ADOS stuff. They're just nobodies, man. Ignore them. They're not moving the needle. Bullshit. Kai got millions of subscribers. Akademiks is on his way to 1 million. The Shade Room, 1 million. Worldstar Hip Hop, 1 million. Secure. All these goddamn, all these social media platforms with millions of subscribers, which pretty much paint a narrative on FBA. Most of them are 100% tethers, but they're all rich. They're all rich by shaming us, FBAs. They're not rich shaming their homeland or those that's over here that's unsuccessful. They are rich by showing our laundry to the world, justifying Jim Crow, justifying 100 years of lynching, justifying slavery, justifying house discrimination, and redlining. When they have these platforms and they make us look bad, they're justifying the way we were treated. You know how a black guy unarmed gets shot and, for no reason, basically, and and the news say, hey, but look though, he had a pass. He got arrested for a ticket, a warrant for child support. They try to show his arrest record to justifying the mistreatment, the the mistreatment. Okay, that's what tethers do when they show us in the world, when they show us before the world as a ratchet, disgusting, barbaric people. That is justifying all the mistreatment we get from whites and whoever else. That's what they're doing. That's why you can't subscribe to these channels. It's against your interest. You should be unsubscribing from Akademiks and Huff and all these other channels because they don't have your best interest at hand.
Word! You're not Ghanaian. You're not Dominican.
Look at this. I'm
You're not
obsessed with
Puerto
this.
Rican. You're not Cuban. You are American.
I farted so loud.
And this is a large platform, by the way. So all these tethers that come on my channel, the Haskell and the tether supporters, Brother Reggie, dude, stop. They do move the needle. They have they're 2-3 people, but their influence, they reach the millions. They reach our youth. Akademiks is a filthy tether who's an accused child pretzeler. He's accused, which I'm gonna get on later. He's accused of, and I got more information, by the way. So when I get back on him, it's gonna be more information and more opinions. So and more publicity from big channels. So Akademiks was accused recently of being a child pretzeler, grooming a 15-year-old boy. So he's a bati boy. Ironically, he's Jamaican. He's a bati boy. And Jamaica is supposed to be one of the most anti, same-sex countries. But you got academics out here interested in that type of lifestyle. Now listen to this Rwandan woman. She's never been to America in a day in life. She never met one American, but she had all this anti-hate for us. But you will let these tethers come on these channels and say it goes both ways. She never met one FBA, never met one ADOS. But look at the hatred, the vitriol she has for us.
Americans people, I don't like them because they take lots of drugs.
Really, that's what I think. But have you met any Black Americans in real life?
So you see Unbiased Sports, that's renamed to Unbiased Ron, RON, because so many people came after me and stole that name that when you look up my name, it started to show their channels. They start, deriding me. So I just changed my name to Unbiased Ron Podcast. Okay, so the other one is official FBA. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed to either one. So subscribe to both, by the way. Subscribe to FBA Defensive Unit. Subscribe to Unbiased Ron RON Podcast. And yeah, and if, again, that's all we need. And then like the video. You got to like the video. And those with a little extra, you dig, you can support, donate, Cash App, Unbiased Ron. Same spelling, just Ron instead of sports. But that's not a requirement. That's only if that's what you want to do. But what is a requirement is to like the video. That's all I require you to do. Like the video and be, timeout tethers when they come in the live stream talking shit.
No, like in the movies, I didn't meet them.
No.
So now she heard her. So there's a movie theory with tethers overseas. They like to blame the movies why they have this disdain for us, why they believe all of this white supremacist stereotypes about us. They like to blame movies they watch in their country as though they never watch good movies about us. Movies with Denzel, Spike Lee, Robert Townsend, and sitcoms like the Wayans Brothers. Like they act like all they do is just watch Belly, Menace to Society, and Boys in the Hood on repeat over and over and over. They're lying. They have access to every Black movie we ever done. But this is what they gravitate to, and they come to this country and they judge us based on a movie.
What do you think about the Black American culture?
Fucked up. I'm sorry. Is it like okay, the fucked up humanity group that's Black Americans, yeah. And I actually feel bad for saying that. It's true. It's true. I know it's true.
Now, why do you believe that?
Because they mostly don't belong where they are. They're Americans. We all know they're Americans. They know they're Americans, but they
Yeah, so don't block the tethers, but you can time them out as much as you want because I don't need their support. I don't want their donations. I don't want their subscription. I don't want their likes. Okay, so when I say donations and subscription and likes, that's just for FBA ADOS and FBA ADOS supporters. So you don't have to be ADOS and FBA. If you rock with us, if you're Latino, if you're Asian, if you're from the Caribbean or the continent Africa, Europe, whatever, you support us, you want to help signal boost our message, okay? We accept that. But tethers who undermine us, that gets in our way and cosplay as us, yeah, you guys, no subscription, no donation. I will send it back and no like. Okay, I'm 100% anti-tether. There's no negotiating, no compromising, none of that.
don't belong there because they are minor. One for that, they are minor, and the racism and everything. They don't belong there actually. So they belong here and they are not here. So they are fucked up.
That's really interesting.
Yeah,
I had no idea.
So I have this tweet by Mick Beanie _,
Okay, I'm gonna
and
skip
they
this
said
part.
African Americans are
This
by
part I'm gonna skip because I already did it live on this one by itself.
far the anxious, and then she know what she so let's
My parents definitely came over here with stereotypes about African Americans.
Interesting.
But I also will say that like my parents definitely came over here with stereotypes about African Americans.
Okay, so see, catch the pattern. All of them are saying their parents came over here with stereotypes of African Americans. So that means their parent never met us yet, but they have this embedded belief about us. But a tether will tell you and try to convince you it goes back in both ways equally. They'll act like we have the same smoke for them as they have for us. It's like, no, dude, we're reacting to you guys. So if you got called a name, if you got called an African booty scratcher, could it be possible that you were standoffish? Could it be possible that your son, who you brainwashed to believe FBAs ain't shit? Can it be possible that he was or she was being standoff with us and we couldn't take it? Kids couldn't take it and they roasted the shit out of them? Is that possible? Because you admit that your mom came here with the stereotypes. That means before you went to school, before you signed your children up for school, you already had a certain belief about FBAs and ADOS, and you program your kid.
When Africans are immigrating to the United States, their idea of African Americans, like take away modern times where we have like the internet and everything, it's coming from TV, right? Where they're just seeing these rappers and these music videos.
Okay, so see, they're not consistent. So some would say they get it from their mother, and some would say they get it from videos and TV, as though all they watch is just like they don't watch Keith Sweat, they don't watch Marvin Gaye, Michael Jackson, they don't watch TLC. They don't watch these entertainers. They just watch Biggie Smalls and the King Von and Young Boy, right? They want you to believe that they don't know about Common Sense, Lupe Fiasco, Diggable Planets, Heavy D, even though he's, non-FBA, but still, he's cosplaying. But they don't know about all these other entertainers and singers like Beyonce and Maya and Mariah Carey and Whitney Houston and Tina Turner and Shaka Khan, the OJs and all those folks. They act like they know nothing about them, or they only know about King Von, YMN Melly, and Young Thug. We're not buying it.
And you're seeing these movies and TV shows with people shooting guns and like cussing.
Ignorance from our parents as well. Our parents say things to us.
But you see, they're comparing their parents to FBA ADOS children. How is that a fair comparison? How are you comparing a child, 9 years old, 8 years old, a child's behavior to a grown adult? Like this is the lopsided logic they got to use in order to justify their hatred for FBAs, and ADOS.
In which, at least I can't speak for African Americans, but I know Africans, our parents say things to try to get us to stick with other Africans instead of branching out.
So their parents say things so they can delineate, draw the line between them and FBAs. You heard her say it herself.
And for that festered, so now it just lives on as we get older. Okay, so I agree with her in that aspect, but also another thing I feel like isn't talked about enough is the way our parents will talk about Black Americans.
Is back to their parents. So never let a tether compare little FBAs allegedly, because there's no proof to this. They're just saying it, calling them a cockroach or a African booty scratcher. Now I don't believe that, but let's go with that. Let's go with that. How many children are really doing that? One or two. But your parents are coming here with an idea to implant in you and others in the village where you all feel a certain way towards us.
Because if we're being honest with ourselves, our parents are not respectful. They will say things to try to instill within us to divide away from them, but like being lazy or not as clean or stuff like that.
Okay, now those are two lies. FBAs are lazy. He's just lying. And then she said not clean. Now you know goddamn well that's a lie. Our water is one of the best filter systems in the world. Okay, so the clean thing, yeah, you might want to reconsider that one.
That, and I feel like that also helps perpetuate the divide, which also needs to be acknowledged.
Okay, so growing up, I had this ideology from the media, from people around me, that African Americans were these.
See, he said it again. He said media, so they're lying. They don't watch Nutty Professor and all these 48 Hours and Toy with Eddie Murphy. They don't watch none of these movies. They only watch gangster movies from FBA. Stop.
Ghetto, civ, just
was the intent of my elders as they reminded me to stay away from akatas. Akata is a derogatory.
Okay, so this is somebody else saying his elders told him to stay away from akatas. So we hear back and forth. They're being told by their parents to don't rock with us. And we're like, cool. But that's called delineating. That's called being divisive. So just hold your own nuts when we decide to meet your energy.
Term for African Americans. I didn't understand why at the time, because I knew nothing about it. Reminded me to stay away from akatas. Akata is a derogatory term for African Americans. I didn't understand why at the time, because I knew nothing about propaganda, media, or anything else we'll discuss today.
And you got tethers that come in this chat room, Africa TV, and sit here and act like akatas is not a negative word towards FBAs. Like these guys really be trying to delude themselves to believe in this bullshit. Well, guess what? I'm not a tether. It's not gonna work. The best is yet to come.
It's my great-grandfather on my father's side that wasn't born here.
Now, I'll say it again. I got my sister's 23andMe or whatever, and I also got her DNA, and I also got our family tree. So we can trace our family on our father's side all the way back to like 18, some ridiculous shit. So we're good. But Lord Jamar, he ain't so good. Listen.
It's my great-grandfather on my father's side that wasn't born here. It's my great-grandfather on my father's side that wasn't born here.
How does one know that they're a foundational American? I, a few years back, did a like an ancestral so I had just did on my father's side, right? But in doing all of this, and I'm going to tell you, it traced back to Guyana, right?
Okay, so he said his father's side traced back to Guyana. Okay, so far we know that his father's side is Guyanese. So that means if he is FBA, it ain't his father's side. It would have to be his mother's side. Can we all agree to that? His father's sides go back to Guyana from his own mouth. So he's not FBA from his father's side. If he's FBA at all, it will probably come from his mother's side.
Okay, right. So I had just did on my father's side, right? And I'm going to tell you it traced back to Guyana.
We can trace back.
My family suffered from redlining and all that type of shit, because I know how you feel about like Jamaicans that come here right now, this generation, and they're able to get loans. My family didn't go through that. My family didn't get all that when they came here. We lived as regular black people.
You heard that? My family didn't go through Jim Crow, the violent Jim Crow South. My family didn't go through that. We lived as regular black people. Wait, how does regular black people live? Because he's going to say that his family was on Ellis Island, which is in New York City, which he was amongst the other 52 million European immigrants who came there first. Okay.
So let's talk about that.
Let's talk about that. That would not, if they came over and they immigrated, because your family came from immigrants. They immigrated over here, and you can.
Your family came from immigrants, right? They immigrated. He said yes. Yeah, he didn't say, wait a minute, which is my father's side. He said yes, yes, yes.
Ellis Island.
Because your family came from immigrants. They immigrated over here, and you can Ellis Island.
Right.
I know the boat.
That's very different, because you can't get a reparations claim like that.
So Tariq Nasheed says, Lord Jamar, based upon what you're disclosing to me, you wouldn't qualify for reparation claim. Okay, that's it. And why are we still going on with this?
Because you can't get a reparations claim like that.
And it's very important to not mix it up.
But now keep in mind, this is just my father's side.
I understand that.
We all have two sides now. My mother's side, I ain't traced that yet.
Y'all would know who the
Okay, so why you not gonna trace your mom's side, dude?
I ain't traced that yet.
Now, my mother's side, I ain't traced that yet. Y'all would know who the southern side of her family was. So if y'all don't know, that means she's from the Caribbean.
So Tariq Nasheed said, if you don't know where your mother's side is from, then most likely you probably Caribbean.
Understand that you don't know your dad. That's one thing. And your mom didn't tell you where your grandmother was from? Your mom didn't say shit?
So as you can see, like myself and other people out there smart and Tariq Nasheed, we're like, wait, what do you mean your grandmother knew and nobody else knew? Like your grandma ain't, so your mom ain't tell you where your grandma's from? Your grandma ain't tell you where her mother's from? Saying her grandmother, that's like weird. Okay, so let's go on.
She had to come from somewhere, either immigrated from another country or came from the South. If she's black, right?
Okay, you already said, though. He said she either immigrated over here to Ellis Island or she came from the South, because that was the only way you could come here as being black. You either immigrated from the South or you were migrating yourself to the North with the rest of the Europeans.
It's just find out where your parents are from and where your grandparents are from. Your grandmother, if you knew your grandmother has a birth certificate, brother. Look at the birth certificate and see where she was born. And then see what her mother and father's name was. It's on the birth certificate. Then see where they were born. You trace it back like that. And if you can go all the way back to the 1870 census, that make you a foundational black American. All you got to do is just trace the parents back. Okay, some of these folks, you don't know where your mama's really from. Okay, like my mom's from New York. We kind of lost, and then okay, but folks, okay, I don't know how y'all don't be knowing where your mama from.
I don't know how you guys don't be knowing where your mama from. That was a direct shot at Lord Jamal. I don't know how you guys don't know where your mama from. She's right in front of you. Just ask your mom, where are you?
And you don't know your mama's side of the family. At least I can understand the dad's side might be a little sketchy, but you don't know your mama's side of the family. See, that raises red flags.
For me too. That raised red flags with the Guyanese flag in the middle of it. To me, that doesn't make sense.
That raises a lot of red flags from folks don't be knowing what their mama's side of the family is. All right. That's all right. That's weird.
And I agree. That's weird. You guys agree. That's weird behavior. Okay. Next video.
What's good? Now in hood, the pronunciation would be "what's good." But then if I say,
okay, so I'm not gonna play this whole video. So evidently there's a tether who's out there teaching other tethers how to literally cosplay as an FBA ADOS black man. He's actually charging them courses. Okay, so I'll give you an example size and that's it.
"Bro, you tripping, dog?" My tone and my voice completely brings out a different kind of meaning for this specific phrase. "Now you was tripping, dog. You tripping, dog. Yeah. Yeah, boy. Run me my."
Yeah, this dude is, he's dead ass serious. That he thinks he mastered how FBAs behave.
Yeah. Yeah, boy. Run me my.
Yo, what was that kiss, yo? That was a pause moment. You guys say pause, I say straightness. That was a straightening moment, dude. Straighten that shit out. In your private time, you do a kiss. Running you your what?
Run me my hood. This is the most requested topic on Instagram, TikTok, and at the same exact time, YouTube. In today's video, I'm actually going to show you guys how to understand people here in the United States, how they speak hood, and also how to speak it yourself. I'm also going to show you different variations and different techniques, different phrases, and different word choices that people here in America actually speak. Today, we're diving deep in hoodology.
That's called it hoodology. This, he's not joking. Tethers actually pay him money to how to assimilate into black FBA ADOS cultures. This is how they're able to infiltrate and undermine us.
Now, before I begin, I want you guys to understand that here in the United States, like I said before in the previous video, we have 50 states. Within those 50 states, there are different variations of
My fault.
To our very existence. We're not having it anymore. I didn't form the group. The group was formed out of necessity.
What's good? Now in it would be my as in M-A, my, with a little bit of a slanted I at the end. My. Run me my. Run me my. Fade. Instead of saying fade, you would say fay. Fay. Run me my fay. Run me my fay. So you see that? So
Yeah, he thinks he mastered FBA code. This is hilarious.
now if you're saying it really, really fast, it'll be like, "Hey bro, run me my fade. Hey bro, run me my fade. Hey bro, run me my fade." You see what I just did right there? Practice that. Number 2. On the block. Now the meaning of this phrase is, it refers to hanging out in a specific area or a specific spot in the neighborhood. Like, hey bro.
I'm not going to believe that one. Okay, all right, so now let's get to the topic. Doesn't he sound like the Black Authority? Cut the check. So Dr. King, when he said we're coming to Washington, when he said we, that plural pronoun, was it all inclusive to all Black people of the diaspora? Was it all inclusive to Black people from the continent of Africa? or was that all exclusive? And all he was talking about was FBAs, ADOS people in this country who suffered slavery, you dig, who were emancipated, and the 40 acres and a mule was taken back from us. Is he talking about those folks? Of course he was. Okay, so now let me just go here. Okay, so let's see if we get a quick understanding. So he talked about the land grants that white folks receive. So I want to get to a quick explanation of that without taking too much time. Try to look for the shortest video. Okay, so the shortest video just might be this one.
In the decades after the Civil War, thousands of farmers moved west into the Great Plains, taking advantage of the cheap land provided by the Homestead Act. The act was signed by Abraham Lincoln in 1862 to encourage western migration. Under the act, settlers could receive title to 160 acres of western land if they were at least 21 years old, if they built a house at least 12 by 14 feet in size, and if they worked their land for 5 years.
The way the Homestead Act worked, you would go out to the land office in whatever region that you were planning to settle in, and you would pick your plot of land and you would build your house and you would begin to do the things that you needed to do to meet the criteria set up by the federal government.
Criteria set up by the federal government. Exactly the agency who we are looking to sue for reparations. So the federal government was involved.
By 1900, claims for over 80 million acres had been filed, creating more than 372,000 farms.
There were many people who benefited incredibly, who would never have had the access to land if they hadn't been for the Homestead Act.
But besides simply owning land, Western farmers had to survive the harsh conditions on the Great Plains in order to succeed. Many soon saw their dreams dashed. Decades of drought ravaged small farms. Prices for crops fell as mechanized corporate farms arose. Railroads imposed steep rates to transport their goods, or refused to serve rural areas altogether.
Yeah, so the land grants also extended to incentivize railroad workers or owners, right? They wanted them to build railroads to help transport goods throughout the country. So grants was also extended to them. It wasn't just the peasants of Europe, the poor, filthy project mentality Europeans. It was also those who were getting stuff done in this country, like railroads. They wanted to incentivize them to hurry up and finish because this was like improvement of the country.
When small farmers complained, railroad baron William Vanderbilt uttered his famous line, "The public be damned." Many farmers took on back-breaking debt in order to keep their farms. Eventually, they banded together, forming cooperatives that gave them the economic and political strength to survive.
Yeah, so as you can see, this library here is not for the FBA folks who just want to listen to roasting and, clowning. Nah. So as you can see, a real live, the numbers are significantly different than a roast live. Now, had I put Tariq Nasheed roast tethers, it'd be 300 folks in here with 300 likes. But we're talking about some real stuff here. This is our history. We should know it. We should know our history. We should not know our history. There's no excuse not to know it. This is very valuable, and we lead with it. When we say FBA, we are really leading with our history. So at any time, somebody might say, "Hey, let me interview you about your history." You need to be comfortable and sit through the interview and know about your history. Okay. Anyway, so now let me share this with you. Let me share with you that, okay, so during this land grant thing, right? Because this was something in America. So the question could be asked, well, how did Europeans in Europe know about this land grant? Well, the condition of Europe was very grim. Okay. Europe was suffering from hunger, political, and economic unrest, right? 52 million Europeans left their country in totality, many from Hamburg and some from Eastern Europe. Okay, so now when they arrived over here in the United States, they Euro stepped the South. None of them came to the South, okay, where it's agriculture, work, and heavy labor. They went to the North, which is being more industrialized, okay? Now, but everybody who came on that ship wasn't invited into the land. They had disease check. If you had a disease, tuberculosis, whatever, you would turn around and sit back to your shithole European country. Okay. The ships, to transport them over here, they start to charge the country 4 times the amount that it would normally cost because countries were eager to ship off their criminals. Okay, so immigration was a huge moneymaker at that time. Okay, so now watch this. In 1850, for a European scumbag to get on that ship to be transported to America, sometimes it cost their average annual wage. You heard me correctly. 12 weeks of their pay. Not 12 weeks, 365 days, 52 weeks. The whole year. So the first in 1850s, they had to save up for a whole year. Don't touch none of that money. And that was their trip over here. Okay, but by the 1900s, it became 1 month's rent. I mean 1 month's pay. Okay. So when they couldn't afford the whole family, they just sent the men over here, right? Because the men were builders, and they sent them to where? They sent them to Ellis Island. What is Ellis Island? Ellis Island is a part of New York that the government just literally just carved out and designated it for immigrants, really European, and then Chinese, and then down the line. Okay, so what else they had over there? So the wealthy of the Europeans, they went to Manhattan, New York. So third class citizens, because they had first, second, third class citizens on the boat. So third class was pretty much sent back where they came from because they went through rigorous screening, had medical exams. If anybody had a medical exam and it was shaky, they were definitely, exiled. Um, yes, European had a bunch of prostitutes come over here. Okay, so they turned away the European Virgin Mary Mother prostitutes. They couldn't come over here. So IBM, you see, they have an ethnic cleansing. They are practicing eugenics amongst themselves. Okay, so even the poor anarchists, they turn back to their country, and it says the illiterate. Okay, the illiterates were turned back. Okay, and no Chinese people. Right. So where we at? So those people went back to Europe. Late 1900s, majority of the European immigrants that come over here were largely Germans because America was practicing eugenics and they wanted whites that was close to pure blood in their mind. So a large part of the tethered European immigrants were Germans, followed by people from Ireland, the Irish, and then the British. That's the first wave. And the second wave were Russians and Italians. And as a result, they created towns called Little Italy. So wait a minute. I guess they're delineating because the next restaurant was Little Russia and the next one was Little Germany. So what? So were the Italians um, being divisive when they created Little Italy? When they didn't want to assimilate to Little Germany or Little um, Russia? Were they being divisive? So you guys got to kill this talk from these clowns. So now 3.5 million Germans alone was in PA. Okay, so now watch this. A lot of Germans came over here into America because they were suffering religious persecution. So in Germany, you could only be a Protestant or a Catholic. That's it. Okay, so where we at now? Okay, so a lot of Southwestern Europeans came over, and guess what? They came to PA. A large majority of them came to PA. Overall, 3.5 million of them stay in PA. Let's see what else I have. Yeah, okay, so that's pretty much it on that. So now I want to say this, that when the Europeans came over here, 1/3 to 2/3, they came over here as indentured servants because the trip, again, don't forget the trip cost their annual salary. So a lot of these European tethers, they came over here in debt. Okay, so they agreed to pay the money back that was, you know, put up for them. So they were indentured servants. Just want to add that there. Okay, so now another thing is this. In Germany, so this is for IBM again, who don't know shit about eugenics. So Germany, the reason why so many Germans came over here from Germany is that they wanted more independence on thought. They didn't have freedom of speech and none of that shit. Okay, so what they did was this. They had marriage restrictions in Germany because they was in fear of overpopulating the country or society. Because unbeknownst to FBAs and ADOS, is that too many kids can result in poverty because you can't feed them all and you damn sure can't employ them all. So now, Germany would foot the bill sometimes for certain Germans to come over here, but with the promise of they can never return. Okay, so what else we got here? So as a result, this is how we got a lot of the scientists, we got a lot of the engineers. The Brooklyn Bridge, I heard, was designed by a scientist from, I believe, Germany. And then, by the way, so when they came over here, especially the Germans were forced to assimilate. So the Americans did not want to speak in their German dialect. They made them practice, communicating without it in schools. So they literally stripped them from their German um, dialect to get them to assimilate to America and become Americans and no longer Germans. And a lot of them today don't even have like a history. So listen, guys, this is important. So when they claim, hey, you cutting off Africa, bro, that was like so many years, 100 years ago when we were in Africa. But you got Germans, you got Italians, and you got the Irish right now in America. They cut off Ireland. They cut off all these countries they stem from. So they were forced to assimilate as white. All right. So now let's get cooking. So now a Jamaican tether named Haskell had called on my show and he asked this question because to him this was an aha moment for me, but it didn't work. Listen.
Now, I want to ask a question before I read this. I want to ask Unbiased a question. Unbiased, you there?
Yeah.
All right. Can you reconcile these two statements? Foundational Black Americans is strictly a lineage. It's not an organization. It's not a group, et cetera, et cetera. It is strictly a lineage, right? So that's statement number one. And then statement number two is I own the trademark to foundational Black Americans. Are those two statements reconcilable?
No.
Yes. Yes,
No,
they
it's
are.
not.
Why would you wait? Right. So in the background is Brother Reggie, RBG, Pan-Africanist guy who kept saying no. So these guys are just in the way.
No, it's not. It's
What?
not reconcilable.
Stick up in Unbiased. Let me just read this real quick, and then
it's common sense.
and then you could go. I'm sourcing up. I just want to source up real quick to show the FBAs that it is not. Now, I want to ask a question before I read this. I want to ask Unbiased a question. Unbiased, you there?
Yeah.
All right. Can you reconcile these two?
Okay, so he has a problem with Tariq Nasheed trademark and FBA, which I thought was what you're supposed to do. Okay, so anyway, so just recently, about 2 days ago, another tether. Now, so that's a tether asking me about Tariq Nasheed. Well, 2 days ago, Tariq Nasheed went, he premiered a video, and a tether asked him the very same question. So what you guys are going to notice the pattern with tethers, they have the same talking points, the same question. So it should be easy for the bulk of you guys, the bulk of y'all to easily rebut these guys. Okay, so anyway, so now let's go to Tariq Nasheed when a tether called in 2 days ago to ask him about the same thing.
You are the leader.
No, it doesn't.
Yes.
Okay, here we are. Roll the tape.
Well, if you have a patent to it, that means you are the leader.
No, it doesn't.
Yes, sir. Yes, it does.
You
Okay,
lying.
so this tether is asking the same question that the tether asked me in my life. So that's why I played some of these videos over and over and over, because I want you guys to embed this stuff in your head. Because when you're out there representing FBA ADOS and you're on the front lines, there's going to be a tether, somebody, non-FBA, non-ADOS, to question you, to try to make you look silly. Okay, so you need to know the talking point. So now, look what happens when the tether asks Tariq Nasheed. He's the leader because he trademarked FBA.
Well, if you have a patent to it, that means you are the leader.
No, it doesn't.
Yes, sir. Yes, it does.
You lying don't make it true, sir. No, it don't.
Sir, if you patent something, that means you claim ownership of it.
No.
Right?
You can't own a lineage. That don't make sense.
Sir, if you patent FBA, that means you own the lineage. You made the word up.
Dumbass
you own
arguments.
it,
Don't
thus
tether about
owning
you.
a lineage.
So, by your definition, I'd have a trademark on a product with the name FBA. I don't own the lineage, sir. You can't own lineages, sir. I know you don't know. I know you're remedial and you don't know better. But, sir, using your logic, there are several owners of African American because there's 2,000 trademarks for the word African American. So do 2,000 people own the African American lineage?
And look, let me just show you right now. Is African American trademarked right here on the live. Okay. Okay. So let's find. Oh, I gotta go Google. I hate Bing, yo. I hate fucking Bing. Hate Bing. Oh my god, I hate Bing. So terrible. Oh my god. Really? What are we doing here? What are we doing? Okay, listen, everybody. Look, yes, African American is trademarked by African American Inc., a food and beverage company in where? North Carolina. Okay. So do you want this happening? Because somebody's going to trademark it. So why wouldn't we trademark our own stuff? Now look who this is. This guy. It's a white guy. Okay. Well, they don't show it now, but I believe it's a white guy. Okay. All right. So anyway, let's move on. So that was a dumb question. That's a tether question.
Unbiased Sports, gloves off. Thank you again. He said,
Okay,
tether
so
equal black immigrants that undermine
this
FBAs.
this is me calling to with a donation. So you see, when on my channel, I say, hey, send a donation, on my channel. Well, what I do, I send donations to other folks' channel. That's what you do when you appreciate the content. You send donations. There's nothing wrong with that. So, but I wanted to correct Lord Jamar in a brotherly way because he was using the word tether incorrectly. So I sent a donation to help him understand what a tether is and what it means. Look, listen to him. He's going to read it. At this time, I was unbiased sports, but I'm still unbiased Ron.
Unbiased Sports, gloves off. Thank you again. He said, tether equal black immigrants that undermine FBAs. Not all black immigrants undermine us, are tethers. There you go. Which answers your question about Minister Farrakhan.
Okay, so the reason why I play this because you will get it a lot. You will get this a lot. Tethers always act like they don't know what tether means. Now, these guys can recite all of Tariq Nasheed's talking points, all of Professor Truth's talking points, all of TBA talking points, right? All of it. But all of a sudden, when you ask them what a tether is, none of them know what it means. Okay, so you'll get that a lot. So now I define it for Lord Jamar. He read it. Now look at Tariq Nasheed. He's going to be asked the same question on a live with a tether.
Here's the thing: people ain't dumb. They know what we mean when we say tether. I want
People ain't dumb. They know what we mean when we say tether. They study Tariq Nasheed talking points. They know exactly where he's at today's time.
y'all to understand this. Tethers love playing dumb so they can waste your damn time. We've explained a million times what a damn tether is. We've explained a million times what a foundational black American is. They come in playing dumb, trying to reframe narratives. What is a tether? A tether is a tether anyone who's an immigrant? That's just them acting dumb to waste your time. They know what a tether is. A tether is somebody who's a non-FBA who comes around us trying to undermine us, trying to do things to undermine us. That's
Yeah, he made that very clear. Tether is a black immigrant who attempts to undermine FBA ADOS. That's it.
all it is. It's not an immigrant. All immigrants are not tethers. All foreigners are not tethers. All people in Africa are not tethers. All people in the Caribbean are not tethers. We've said that 1,000,001 times. They know that. But the ones who are tethers have to sit here and play dumb because now we've called them out. Hit dogs holler. You understand?
But anytime a tether asks you what is a tether, most likely they are a tether. It's just wasting your time. So now I'm gonna go and show you the number one most wanted tether today over Math Hoffa. Is this guy right here, Academics. So I'm gonna bring you to him undermining us early before his recent charges. So we bring you to Academics. I don't want to miss it. Here we go. So now look, don't forget, tethers, what they do is they purposely misrepresent the definition of a tether to purposely and purposefully to draw confusion within black immigrant culture. Listen.
It's like classic. It's like classic.
So now this was
I won't call it racism, but it's.
hold on, come on. So this was him giving his expert opinion on the Fat Joe Lord Jamar thing. This is the next day after uh their Breakfast Club released Fat Joe interview.
Whatever. Like, I'm still black, and whether people like Tariq would want to box people like me out the paint, I support him and I love him, and I love people, everybody that's black. There's obviously some traditional traditions that are different. There's some cultural slight differences, but at the end of the day, we also got to think about the macro perspective. When we walk outside, they look at me as black, they look at Tariq as black, right? So
Okay, this is a tether argument. So don't delineate, don't section off, don't choose a corner for yourself as FBAs. We got a corner that's called Jamaican. Haitians got a corner called Haitian. The Panamanians got a corner called Panamanian. Everybody has a corner, section off for themselves. But FBAs, you don't need a corner. That's all he's saying right now. You don't need a corner. Just be the people without a corner.
So I kind of look at it as a little bit divisive, but I'm not going to knock him because maybe he has a goal, right? Now, what that has turned into is just like, I don't know, it's like really like, it's like classic, I won't call it racism, but it's.
So he's even charging us with racism. This filthy tether that I'm gonna get on later. But you see, he misrepresented the definition of tether, which you heard me define for Laura Jamore, and you heard Terry Nasheed on mouth. It's not every black immigrant. It's basically the coon immigrants, just like we have coon blacks over here, coon FBAs. Well, the coon black immigrant is called a tether. So tether and coon pretty much mean the same thing. Okay. But he purposely misrepresented it to draw confusion amongst the African continent and the Caribbean and whoever else, purposely muddying the waters.
It's no secret, fatherless households are more common in the black community. A survey from the American Consensus Institution revealed that 67% of black children under 18 in the US live in homes without fathers. This is a stark contrast to white children, as only 24% of them live in fatherless homes. But it wasn't always like that. The black families survived generations of open racism, widespread poverty, and slavery. They lived through segregation and violence, and strong family bonds used to be the norm.
As of 1960, 2/3 of all black American children were living with both parents.
Okay, so I want y'all to hear the dates. So he said 2/3 of black families were made up of a nuclear family. That means mother and father. Okay, that's in 1960. We're different than the Caribbean. They're not like us because in the Caribbean in 1966 they had a huge baby mata problem. The word baby mata that comes from Jamaica. That's not a FBA term. Okay, they brought that over when they came here legally. So the term is not even baby mother or baby mama. It's originally bebe mada. Bebe, Bebi, mada, Mada. That was how they pronounced it. Okay, then it became baby mother or baby mama, and now we're in English. Okay.
That declined over the years until only 1/3 were living with both parents in 1995. So it's not the legacy of slavery that destroys the African American.
So basically, what he was pointing out was slavery didn't destroy the black family, because even though they put us through slavery, peonage, we worked in coal mines and still industries, day in and day out. We were still married and we still had nuclear families. We did not divorce. So he's saying it wasn't slavery that broke up the black family. Okay. So now they're going to get to what actually did it.
People say that the breakdown of traditional family units, family structures, is a byproduct of black poverty, not just because there is no man to support the family financially, but also because women tend to earn less than men on average. Of course, the connection between the two is there, but it goes deeper than that. Welfare was a mean little business. It was designed to get people by in a pinch. Public assistance programs, like welfare entitlements, have been a part of American culture since the 1940s. Unfortunately,
Okay. Since the 1940s.
like in many other aspects of government institutions, Black Americans were left out. In time, Black people could also get financial support, but it wasn't easy. Mothers who applied for checks had to let social workers inspect their homes to see if their conditions were suitable for welfare. These workers also had to make sure no man was living in the house. But even if they qualified for support, the amount they received was meager and not enough to build a stable life.
Okay. So it wasn't really a leverage like that, is what they point out.
States made efforts to cut down ADC enrollment and costs. They proposed residency requirements to prevent Blacks from the South from qualifying for the program.
Okay, you heard that? So now Black folks want to get some welfare, some assistance. They all of a sudden came up with residency requirements. You had to be a resident, okay, of a said city. So listen, man, yeah, these white folks have been devils to us. Not all of them, but definitely the ones in charge. Devils to us. Listen.
States made efforts to cut down ADC enrollment and costs. They proposed residency requirements to prevent Blacks from the South from qualifying for the program. In 1935, there was a hearing on a bill, and the NAACP, an organization that fights for civil rights, expressed their concerns. Southern politicians wanted to exclude agricultural and domestic workers from the bill.
Okay, you see that? So, one more time.
A bill, and the NAACP, an organization that fights for civil rights, expressed their concerns. Southern politicians wanted
Okay, Southern politicians will be your conservatives today. What did they do? What did Southern politicians do?
to exclude agricultural and domestic workers from the bill. This meant
They wanted to exclude agriculture workers and who else?
Southern politicians wanted to exclude agricultural and domestic workers from the
They wanted to exclude agriculture workers and domestic workers from the bill. Why?
bill. This meant that many Black workers couldn't get the support they needed. This exclusion would particularly affect Black sharecroppers and cash tenants, who were already struggling to make ends meet.
Okay, so let me break it down in plain English. So the South was made up of 90%, 97% of FBAs and ADOS, okay? So now, don't forget, they're bringing these immigrants to Ellis Island at the same time in New York City. So African Americans are getting aware to this. So now they're like, hey, FBAs and ADOS like, hey, this hard slavery work here. Let's go to New York and work in one of these industrial jobs and live our best life. But the government said, no, 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 no. You're gonna need receipts of pay, right? But a lot of FBAs were working under the table in the South. I hope I caught that.
Even though the NAACP was highly against it, the Social Security Act was approved. That's why 65% of African Americans nationwide were not eligible for benefits, and an even larger percentage of these Black families in the South. States
So
made efforts to cut down
we were not eligible because we couldn't show, receipts or pay stubs because we were working under the table as 97% of us in the South. Working a lot of us working underneath the table. So we weren't getting paid outright. So we had no way to prove we had a job, was employed. Okay, so let's move on. Next clip.
the 1950s and 60s, things got even worse for Black families. Welfare checks incentivized single mother households. And there was one rule that ruined it all.
And this part
The
crazy.
man in the house rule. Black families have long been
Okay, so the man in the house rule, it was a temporary rule because black activists fought against it and it went away. But this man in the house rule, this wasn't there for white women when they were seeking welfare assistance, when their husband was in war and died, whatever, they was by themselves. They didn't remain single. They had a boyfriend, they had, stepdad, whatever. But in order to get assistance for themselves, they didn't have this act there where a man couldn't be in the house. But they actually provided that for us, though. So this is just more proof of the wealth gap. All it is doing is preparing a solid, shut case for reparations.
the victims of income inequality and bad government policies. The irony, of course, is that conservatives pushed black mothers to break their families to get welfare. Before 1968, many states and administrative agencies created and enforced the man in the house rule. This rule basically meant that if there is a working or healthy man in the house, the government can't help you. And they would go as far as to send welfare workers to visit the homes without warning to check if a man was present. If they found any evidence whatsoever, families lost their welfare benefits. Over the years, the welfare state started dissolving the family structure, slowly but surely. A man who can't get a decent job and provide a substantial income suddenly believes that his family is better off without him. So, if a man were to lose his job, he literally had to leave the house so his children could get government surplus peanut butter, beans,
welfare cheese. Yeah, so listen, this history is crazy. We're deliberately blocked out of stepping stones and wealth. Right? They're changing laws at will to be tailor-made to fit us.
With Johnson's Great Society, which began in 1964, welfare benefits became much more generous and controlled. When I mean controlled, I mean crazy. The man in the house rule discouraged marriage because it provided welfare assistance to mothers if no man was living in the house. If a mother married an employed man, even one earning the minimum wage, it jeopardized her financial support. These benefits were huge. The Great Society programs offered a way out for low-income black families. This could be why, in 1964, only 7% of American children were born out of wedlock, compared to the current rate of 40%. So basically, the government urged mothers to keep fathers out of the home and paid them well for doing so. Shifts in the labor market and deindustrialization
This is crazy, yeah. This is crazy.
Greatly impacted job opportunities, especially for low-skilled workers. It hurt both whites and black people, but black communities were the most affected. With Johnson's Great Society, which began in 1964,
Crazy info.
Then there was the 90s gear change. In the late 1990s, efforts to reform the AFDC program took on more subtle forms of racism. Critics claimed that the program encouraged out-of-wedlock births, irresponsible fatherhood, and dependency across generations.
So the pushback was that this incentivized out-of-wedlock births. Baby mothers, basically.
During this time, there was a lot of public concern about the cost of welfare programs. Some people believed that the programs contributed to rising taxes and national debt. It tapped into public fears and created a seriously negative perception of people who received welfare. There were a lot of misconceptions and stereotypes about those who lived in poverty. So, the reform bill that was eventually passed replaced the AFDC with TANF, temporary assistance to needy families. The new bill imposed stricter work requirements, expecting single mothers to find work within 2 years of receiving benefits. There was also a 5-year limit on receiving benefits. To promote traditional family values, teenage mothers didn't receive benefits. Then there was the 90s gear change. In the late 1990s, that was not all.
So again, this live is not for everybody. This ain't your typical roasting live, or get on tethers, get on white supremacists, stuff to entertain FBA, clowns and ADOS clowns. This is a serious live. This is your history that you need to know, because all this information is being used as evidence to push for reparations. So a lot of you guys say cut the check, but you don't know why the check must be cut. Okay, this is your history. You should know it. You shouldn't just always show up when we're roasting tethers or white supremacists. That's embarrassing.
If a father were to fall behind on child support payments, they could face threats of imprisonment, The bill restricted the use of federally funded TANF for certain groups of immigrants. There were also eligibility limitations on Medicaid, food stamps, and supplementary Social Security income, SSI. These measures were just too harsh. They made it difficult for families in need to get proper financial support. Instead of addressing the root of poverty and creating new employment opportunities, it just punished those who already struggled financially. Well, today, modern problems require new solutions. According to Forbes, the economic status of Black Americans is still far behind compared to white people in terms of stock.
Far behind compared to white people because we've been consistently locked out of the wealth deliberately, as I'm showing now and I will continue to show tonight.
Stock ownership, net worth, income, home ownership, and other metrics. In the United States, Black workers earn about 30% less than white workers. Imagine getting paid more than 40% less than white men for doing the exact same job. If you are a Black woman in the US, this is more likely to happen. In 2020, Black women earned around 58% of what white men earned on average. Similar to Latinas and Native women, Black women face a much more significant pay gap compared to all women. This is because they face both racism and sexism in the workplace. Today, the Social Security program is a backbone for many Black families. It protects them through disability, retirement, or death. The program is crucial because African Americans often lack financial resources and have higher disability rates. The program is meant to help those who earn low income get benefits. Those who heavily rely on Social Security are older Black people with lower lifetime earnings and fewer pension benefits. For example, in 2017, 35% of married and 58% of unmarried older Black people received 90% or more of their income from Social Security. Despite its importance, Black Americans still benefit less overall from.
Yeah, I know this to be for a fact. Older people, they survive on Social Security more than anything else. Okay, so let's move on. We're almost done with this segment.
Today, more Black Americans are more likely to enter a church to go to a funeral than to celebrate a wedding. Fatherless homes, declining marriage rates, and high divorce rates are challenging the Black community to the core. Imagine as a young child living in poverty with a single mother in a poor and drug-infested neighborhood. Over the years, you would have witnessed how this would impact your chances of success, like finishing high school and getting a good job. Because of this, many Black children are raised with little expectations or a sense of hope. Now, some might argue that it takes a village to raise a kid, but in reality, the urban public housing village is drenched in toxic influences like violence, drugs, and bad role models. And in that village, fatherless boys are left alone to figure out what it takes to be a man. So, where do they look? To one another. And in many cases, they turn to gangs and the streets. Girls' lives, too, are deeply damaged in fatherless households. Without a father figure, young girls can experience psychological and emotional challenges. They can have lower self-esteem and struggle to.
Let's move on.
Picture this. It's 1950 and the Smiths, a white family from New York, want to buy a new home in the suburbs for what would be about $62,000 in today's money. Now, meet the Johnsons. They're a Black family who also dreams of buying a new home in this
crazy ass comparison.
neighborhood. The Smiths apply for a bank loan and are quickly approved. The loan was backed by the federal government to boot. The Johnsons apply for a similar loan, but are rejected because banks will only lend to white Americans.
So rejected only because their skin shows Black.
While the Smiths begin moving in, the Johnsons can't find a realtor who will show them homes in the Smiths neighborhood, even if they wanted to pay in cash. The Johnsons then try their luck in a predominantly Black neighborhood. They're denied a loan again,
So
because
even they want to pay in cash, so these banks were on 100% on code.
the federal government refuses to back Black buyers anywhere. Picture this. It's 1950 and the Smiths, a white family from New York, want to buy a new home in the
They want to look to buy a new home.
suburbs for what would be about $62,000 in today's money. Now, meet the Johnsons. They're a Black family who also dreams of buying a new home in this neighborhood.
Okay, so anyway, you got the picture there. Let's move on. Got a couple clips. So let's get through
Flash
these.
forward to the year 2000. The Smiths have paid off their home that's now appreciated in value up to $149,000. The Johnsons, on the other hand, had to rent for the past 2 generations. While the Smiths built wealth and passed it down to their grandkids, the Johnsons never saw a return on their rent.
This is not an isolated incident. Scenarios like this have been plaguing Black Americans for generations, and it's only getting worse. Today, Black families have a median net worth of $17,150 US. Compare that to white families, who have a worth nearly 10 times as much at $171,000.
Flash forward to the year 2000. Near the end of the American Civil War, President Abraham Lincoln agreed to establish a settlement that would include 40 acres of land and a mule for each newly emancipated family. After Lincoln's assassination, President Andrew Johnson thought formerly enslaved people should work to buy their own land instead. Remember that thing about needing some wealth in order for it to grow? Well, President Johnson took all that away, denying them the capital they needed to start building wealth. So instead of 40 acres and a mule, the Freedmen's Savings Bank was established.
Here's why that was a problem. A bank must secure deposits and offer loans to the depositor in order to build wealth, and the Freedmen Bank was explicitly not a lending bank. It was made to hold people's deposits and not multiply it through the yields of a loan. For decades after the disaster, African Americans distrusted the banking system. The few banks that would take their deposits wouldn't loan money to them, effectively using African American money to build more white wealth. So, whilst white people bought homes and started businesses and watched their wealth grow, Black people's capital was once again exploited and lay stagnant. But then, at the turn of the century, Black Americans decided to build their own wealth, and this time, do it on their own terms by establishing Black banks.
From 1900 to 1930, about 130 Black-owned banks were formed, but these banks could only succeed as much as segregation allowed them to. Black depositors generally had lower balances and withdrew money more frequently than their white counterparts.
For decades,
this practice, called redlining, meant that residents of mostly Black neighborhoods were denied housing loans and therefore the opportunity to buy property. Black families like the Johnsons were also shut out of mostly white neighborhoods for fear that their purchase would flip the neighborhood to risky. Even though housing discrimination was outlawed by the Fair Housing Act of 1968, Black people today still face unequal barriers to housing by way of denied home loans and undervalued properties.
Black Americans still face exploitative financial conditions, whereas white Americans have a better chance to build wealth. In the system, reasonable loans and low-cost credit options are made available to white communities, whereas predatory and higher-risk loans and credit is offered to black communities.
This practice, called redlining, meant that residents of most Take the subprime mortgage loans of the 1990s. Subprime loans were intended for borrowers who had less than prime credit assets or income. These loans had high interest rates that got very expensive very fast. They were also discriminately being sold to black borrowers, even though many qualified for prime loans. Between 1993 and 1998, high-cost subprime loans were 5 times more likely in black neighborhoods than white ones. And when the housing market crashed in 2008, black Americans lost more than half of their wealth. Sound familiar? A home in a mostly black neighborhood is still undervalued by $48,000 on average compared to an almost identical home in a mostly white neighborhood. That's $156 billion in lost equity across all black-owned homes in the US.
When it comes to banking, expensive penalties for having low balances or withdrawing frequently means that nearly half of the black population is unbanked or underbanked, leaving them prime targets for check cashers and payday lenders. As it turns out, it's really expensive being poor. Exploitation of black capital, breaching contracts, redlining, Jim Crow laws have undoubtedly created a racial wealth gap. But these tactics have done much worse than impact black wallets. When it comes
DJ Akademiks. This is shameful behavior right here, my boy. Yeah, you should definitely be ashamed of the topic that we talking about today, Academics. You done really up and done it this time. So Academics is making headlines right now for an absolutely egregious reason, right? I seen on Twitter a little while ago that this video of DJ Academics on Discord talking to a 15-year-old named Norg, and the conversation is nothing short of baffling. Now, I'm not gonna do a whole lot of talking right here at the intro. Instead, I'm just gonna go ahead and play the clip and let y'all see what I'm talking about.
Yo, Nor, what's your address? I'm gonna send some strippers over there.
So then, yo, I am 15. I hope you know that, bro. You trying to
Oh,
get?
you scared of women, bro.
I'm not scared of women. Yo, bro, you trying to put me on a case? You trying to put them on a case?
So?
What you mean? So that's weird.
Trying to look out.
Academics. This is shameful behavior right here.
line. But this is Max. Max, I don't know how he somehow he met the kid. Well, I'll let him explain.
Ack, nigga named written by Ray. I don't know who else was in the server. They were playing Fortnite. Apparently, they knew he was streaming, didn't care because he had 20 views, whatever. Niggas start saying like, "Yo, would you f Max?" And whatever trolley way, whatever they are trying to spin it as. Would you f Max sister? All type of other shit. Clips come out. It goes in the com. I go on stream the Central C Day. I said, I have this plan for today. I'm not giving this weird ass shit attention right now because we got some shit planned. This is weird. Next day come act mad because I didn't call him and ask him about the clips because they were out of context. When the clip shows this nigga literally asking Noah if he would f me or if he would f my sister. Act, you came on my Song Wars, you judged. I appreciate that. That's love. But at the end of the day, if you are coming on stream and you are saying weird shit to a kid I basically view as my little brother, you feel me? Nor he's a Palestinian refugee. For anyone that doesn't understand, he's a Palestinian refugee. He lives in Malaysia. He doesn't speak Malay. He lost his mother. I've known him for like 2 years now. He's gone through a lot. He basically can't make friends in real life because he don't speak the language native to that country. And so he'd be on Discord all the time. And he'd be in Twitch chats. He just needs people to talk to, friends. I really care about this kid. I've helped him financially, emotionally, all that. You feel me? Some of my friends take care of his finances, all that. It really runs deep. This is like 3 years deep, gang. I've known him for a long time. I don't want him in these situations where he's getting asked these weird questions. I don't know why my sister's even.
Yo, I showed too much love to ever. Yo, I showed too much love to ever be called a weirdo. I showed too much love. I know people trying to make it weird, and this is why, I know it ain't even Max's community. It's really like these Kendrick fans and like that.
So
He is weird.
Let me
He's
tell
a
you,
weirdo for sure. A fat, funky ass weirdo.
well, it was even more weird that he brought the Drake and Kendrick beef into it because like people were making the memes like I saw one meme like, oh, act like what Drake likes because the whole underage conversation or whatever.
Pedophile
But
thing, yeah.
I think the bigger thing here, people were pissed. Is like, yo, you didn't even take accountability for the conversation you just had, which was weird. He's a 15-year-old boy.
Yes.
Yo, I showed too much love.
Yeah, don't worry about nobody else. It's you. And the fact that the little boy was telling you like what it was and like, yo, no, I'm not doing that. This is called grooming. I'm only 15. I don't smash. I don't do none of that. And you and your mans kept on going on and on. Like, what are you talking about? Like, he's
I
such
think
a clown
that
to me.
the sentiment here was like I think people just wanted to hear him know that it was wrong and that it was a conversation that shouldn't have been had. And eventually he got to that point, but it took him a few streams and a few yells.
You know what's interesting about the situation is he apologized and he doesn't have to because what you gonna take from that?
My fault. I keep leaning on the damn microphone.
Is he apologized and he doesn't have to because what you gonna take from that? Like,
But
how do you cancel
that's
that?
what he's saying.
You know what I mean? So
and then even still, why would he apologize and he gonna do the same thing next week? Like, this is not the first or the last time he's gonna do something like that. Like, that's.
Well, let's hope it's the last time.
I mean, we can hope
he did learn.
And there are reports, nothing I have confirmed, just from other streamers that have said that, like, the younger boy's mom is like not happy about this, so there may be an investigation into it, whatever.
and see,
but
that's what
nothing that I have confirmed.
And that's what you got to be concerned.
Yeah, so I hope like hell there's an investigation. I hope like hell the authorities hold this dude accountable and charge him with something and convict him. I don't give a damn if it's a misdemeanor. Convict this guy. Because no way that's legal for a grown ass man to be talking to an adult, girl or boy. I'm sorry, as an adult, to be talking to a child who is not an adult sexually. Okay, so yes. I've been off his bandwagon calling for his cancellation way before this happened. So I became very happy that, his name is buzzing. But I don't know, a lot of FBAs, man, they lost. They still subscribe, still checking them out because they he keeps them updated with the latest that's going on in the hip hop world. So we like to choose entertainment over our dignity, our self-pride, self-worth. Anyway. Yes, sir. Yes, sir, Donnie. Yes, Valerie. We damn sure support delineation. All right. So anyway, look what time it is. And if you're East Coast, it's 11:59. If you're Cali or wherever you are, it's still 59. I finished exactly on the when I wanted to finish. That's crazy. None of this stuff was script. Well, it was script. I was freestyling. But to end exactly 12 a.m., that was not script. So I ended 1 minute before 12 a.m. All right, BM, yo, step your presentation skills up, my boy. So you can be appreciated in this space. Okay, so that's all I have here. I'm not gonna belabor the point. I got other videos I'm gonna do tomorrow, but I wanted to really explain how America Euro-stepped Black America to give aid to white immigrants. Right. So with that being said, hey man, I appreciate y'all. I like the video, and tomorrow I'll probably play some videos, during the day, without talking. Just keep y'all entertained. I know a lot of you guys don't like to watch TV, and you look forward to some of these videos that I play. So we'll continue that tomorrow.